Welcome to Advanced Solutions How-To session. Today's session will cover how to add a program, Part 4, Simple Room Cost within Room Reserve. Let's begin by signing in to the room reservation system just as we've done in the other videos. You will need to know your administrative password for today's session. So here in the password box, I'm going to type in my administrative password, and I'm going to hit the Enter key on my keyboard. Once the room reservation maintenance screen opens, it will open up to the home page. Within the home page, we'll come down to Setup and Room Configuration. Now that we're in the room configuration, we'll go into the room that we've already been working on, the Storytime carpet. Now, a lot of this information should look familiar to you from the previous recordings. The room information, contract entry items, internal notification, all the way down to room cost. And as you can see, this is an area that we could populate information about the room cost. This setup that we're getting ready to do is for a simple room cost setup. There is a more advanced feature that we could do within system settings where you can add additional conditions. You can make it as complex as you would need to. For today's session though, we are definitely keeping it simple. But if you need more information or you need other guidance on how to do the advanced, make sure you listen to that recording for the advanced room cost. To begin, let's talk about the first field. We have cost for reserving the room. Well, that's a pretty easy question, yes or no. We're going to go ahead and choose yes, so we're going to choose to cost for reserving this room. The next field that we have is payment type. Is it going to be a fee or is it going to be a deposit? And both of these drive off the cost schedule. For our room, I'm going to go ahead and keep it as a fee. Down below, we have our cost schedule, the option to set up 3 different levels. There could already be some conditions that you've already set up in your system setup, such as nobody's allowed to book a room more than 2 hours. Someone who's a nonprofit organization may not be able to book this room. You may have already set those conditions. However, we do have the option to set up some things, but those conditions would overwrite anything that we set up here. So let's say, for instance, I put in 8 hours. I don't charge my nonprofit group, but I do charge my profit group $10 per hour. So by marking the hourly check mark, that means for every hour that they're wanting this room, they will be charged a $10 fee. But if they can only rent the room a max of 2 hours, then this is kind of a moot point. They wouldn't be able to reserve the room for up to 8 hours. If you wanted to set up certain levels, you can do that as well. So the first one that we have here is for the first 8 hours. So if we were open from 8 to 8, that's a 12-hour day. So the first 8 hours of that 12-hour day would be $10. I would put in the number 12 for 12 hours in the level number 2 and then put in $20. And I'm going to charge an hourly rate. So what will happen is the first 8 hours would be $10. Anything over 8 hours would become $20 all the way up to 12 hours. Now, if our room was open longer than 12 hours and we did not put in that information, so let's say the room was open 14 hours and the person reserved the room for 14 hours, they wouldn't get charged for those 2 extra hours. We would want to make sure that we're putting in our max number of hours in here to catch anyone who would meet that criteria. If I wanted to charge a flat rate, I would want to uncheck that hourly box, and it would be just $10 for the 8 hours. Coming down for cost for serving food. Again, it's a yes/no question, so I'm going to go ahead and mark it as yes. The payment type, again, we could choose fee or we can choose deposit. And the information below would be very similar to how we set up the information above, the cost schedule. So for the first 8 hours, we would charge $20. Then level 2 would be our 12 hours, and it would be $30. And again, we have the option to charge for nonprofit or profit. Like I said at the beginning of this session, if you have more conditions or a more complex configuration, you will definitely want to check out that recording. But for today's session, this is just a simple room cost setup. Your next session or your next recorded session for adding a new room will be room availability.